Cafe on our YouTube page. So welcome everybody to the Medicare Cafe. You're joined by your host. My name is Olivia Richardson. And again, joining me for the second week in a row, because I will not let her leave my side, Miss Carrie Vogt here, who is an active senior benefit service agent and somebody who has in this industry already made huge waves because of a lot of the relationships she's made over LinkedIn, and of course your relationships with financial planners. I think that's something that you've done more successful than any other agent I've ever worked with. And again, I've done literally hundreds of planning sessions and strategy sessions and coaching sessions to get agents to where you are right now.
Well, thank you for all those kind words.
Really
I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, again, like I said, won't let Carrie out of my sight. So before we get started, Linda, I want to read your question. She says, possible dumb question. What or how do you do a cost analysis for your clients? That's actually a really great question, Linda, because I think a lot of agents do it very differently and different portions of their appointment process. So Carrie, really quickly, do you mind just kind of talking about what a cost analysis looks like for your clients?
So, if we're looking at original Medicare, I'll sum up, your monthly premium. You've got the 170 plus the, let's say, 125 for a MedSup G and a $10 Part D. The total cost analysis, I will multiply all those by 12 for an annual figure, and then add in the 233 deductible. So roughly you've got I can't think of over 3,000 or something. Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
Total out-of-pocket risk on that side. And then I'll say, okay, on the Advantage side, your total risk is you still have that 170 times 12. That's a little under 2,000. And then if you were to max out your Medicare Advantage, you've got an additional 3,900 around here, the most competitive plans, roughly 3,900 on top of that 2,000 that you're already paying for your Part B. So when you look at those two bottom lines in a cancer scenario, or you're, in and out of the hospital with whatever it is, your bottom line is cheaper on a MedSup.
So you just show them like full send, worst case scenario, here's what you can expect to spend in a year.
Yep.
Now, I know a lot of agents actually don't like to include the Part B premium in that because they say, well, Part B premium makes it look a lot higher. It gets taken out of their Social Security, so it doesn't really matter. I actually go with what you say. I make sure they understand that this is what your Part B premium is. You may not notice it because it does come out of that Social Security check, but it is important to know that this is what you're spending out, including in that. So same train of thought. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to starting about, again, we're talking today specifically about LinkedIn. And the reason why I want to talk about LinkedIn is because I spent until I'm blue in the face talking about Facebook. Facebook is a business to consumer. And I feel like there's so many resources out there about how to use Facebook to build relationships on a mass basis, to build relationships with your clients. But last week, talking with Carrie, she was telling me about how she actually has her financial planners setting her appointments for her because of, again, the value that they see in her. So I wanted to, again, just kind of get as much details and much information out of Carrie as I could, talking about LinkedIn and how to use LinkedIn as a networking site. So again, answering the questions, like, again, when is LinkedIn appropriate? It's a business to business. How do you use it? I know we kind of talked about this earlier. My eyes, it's business to business. It has great search engine optimization, so it's going to pull more than even Facebook. It's going to pull more than your website. So people are going to find you that way. But in my opinion, the communication language is business to business.
Absolutely. And I think you have to go into it with that mindset of, this isn't Facebook. You're not going to see pictures of your friends' kids on there. You're going to see motivational quotes and educational things. I solely use it to connect with other professionals, not just financial advisors, but other professionals that might be in front of seniors.
Yeah.
And I try to connect with them. I try to also learn from them myself. Talk about search engine. I remember when I first got on there, I was like, okay, who else is doing Medicare? Go learn from other people in the industry. I watch, I don't know how I go through the rabbit hole of just watching so many other people that I've learned from that are doing Medicare. But it is a business to business connection. You just got to find those in your community that could benefit from learning about what we do.
So I'm actually going to skip ahead a few points, because I think this is really important to kind of differentiate what you're talking about, what you're talking about on Facebook versus what you're talking about on LinkedIn. Because again, your audience is different, so your content is different. So give me an example of what your LinkedIn, like what content you post on LinkedIn versus content you post on Facebook.
LinkedIn has been just kind of, I'll post pictures of what I'm doing in the community. For example, last week I spoke at an organization here in town. It was an estate planning council. I took a picture of me presenting to that organization, just to kind of show my not friends, what are they called on LinkedIn? Connections. Yeah. Showing them that, hey, I'm out presenting about Medicare.
I'm the expert.
Yep. And I made a little, comment that said, if your organization could benefit from learning about Medicare, let me know. I'd love to come talk to you and educate. Versus, on Facebook, I'll post a picture of me helping one of my clients, like, hey, look at how much money we saved her on her drugs. Or I'll post a video about something that Medicare beneficiary, it's client facing, it's you're marketing to the seniors.
Sure. So it's more or less, do you find that, do you try to post more information-based content in LinkedIn and more entertaining or feeling-based content in Facebook? Or do you feel like there's ways to like intermingle that? What would you say, what goes where?
Definitely the more personal aspect, the entertaining is more on Facebook. But I still try to show my personality somewhat on LinkedIn, because I think that's how, some of these, I think I've strengthened some of my relationships with my financial advisors from them seeing the videos I post on LinkedIn. They're just getting to know me better. They're getting to know.
More familiar with you.
Yeah.
They trust you more because they're more familiar with who you are.
Yep, exactly. So, I try to think of LinkedIn as more educational for myself, of I'm learning from other people on LinkedIn and what my content is that I post out.
So on Facebook, we say, again, because the human attention span, as mine, because I am human and I have no attention span, is very short. So on Facebook, we say like 3 minutes tops, maybe 5 minutes if you have a clown dancing in the background.
Yeah.
And it has to be, we say edutainment. It has to be educational first, but it's got to be like worth watching, or people are going to scroll. With LinkedIn, I would say I have on here, do videos work? I'm assuming that they do, because videos work everywhere. They're better than anything. Yep. What length do you feel works best for LinkedIn? What content works best for your videos on LinkedIn? Or do you do videos on LinkedIn?
Yep, I do videos. I try to keep them to a minute. I read somewhere that social media users like lose interest after a minute.
Oh yeah.
It's really, really, really hard to jam content into a minute though. So they're probably 1 minute to 2 minutes. I think my longest ones have been 3 minutes. But I've posted pictures, I've shared things, but videos have gained so much more traction for me than any of the other stuff.
Give me some examples of, like, we're getting ready to start a new program called Medicare Minute, where you are going to be talking about, and again, it's LinkedIn facing for the most part, right? Some of it will be Facebook, but mostly LinkedIn. So give me some examples of some of the videos that you're going to be discussing. Some content.
I've kind of done some of them a little bit in the past, and they've been really just kind of general topics of questions that some of the financial advisors have asked me, like, when should my client start thinking about Medicare, which we kind of talked about last week, of when do I start the enrollment process, or simply what's the difference between Medicare and Medicaid. Not many people know that there's a difference, or they just kind of bundle it into one. Things like that.
Just content that, again, I think you have the luxury of knowing this is what my financial planners are asking me. Whenever I was in financial planning, these are the things I didn't know. And so that's what you talk about.
Yep. And not just financial advisors. I mean, there's, like I said, I connected with a, oh goodness, what is he's like a geriatric counselor, I think is what.
Interesting. Yeah, because you have a relationship with the National Council on Aging. I'm butchering that. You just keep
Not
talking.
sure what that one
No,
is.
me neither. You keep talking.
Lost my train of, yeah, I think he was a geriatric or a senior counselor. He basically helped seniors with just the aging process and with a lot of grief, since a lot of, once you get older, your friends and family are passing. So anyways, he found me. I didn't even know he was here locally in Columbia. We had a phone conversation one day, and just, he's been a great resource. He's called me a couple times, just himself, with both Medicare questions that he's had. So not just financial advisors. There's all kinds of people that I've met on LinkedIn.
Wow.
Yeah.
So moving forward, something that I run into a lot of experience with is the dreaded, like, sliding into the DMs, getting like a "hey girl, what's up," but like in a more professional manner. Talking about, somebody just says, and they have the robots that go out there and just mass message people. And I literally have hundreds of messages in my inbox. And if there are people genuinely wanting to reach out to me,
it makes it hard to filter through.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so how do you, again, most of my LinkedIn messages get ignored. If you're reaching out to me on LinkedIn, I'm so sorry, I'm probably ignoring you. Shame on me. How do you get to that first meeting? How do you build that relationship and reach out to somebody to where they know this isn't a bot reaching out to me? This isn't a scam. This is someone genuinely wanting to do business with me.
I think the first, I guess, I've really only been like focusing on LinkedIn somewhat for maybe a year. But when I first was, getting my LinkedIn brand, I thought of, so like take the chamber, for example. I was pretty involved in the chamber pre-COVID, and there's some of those meetings, there's like 500 people there.
Right. Yeah.
And there's a ton of people that, like, I know your face, but we've never really spoken, but we kind of might know each other. So I would find them on LinkedIn, friend them. So they kind of, maybe they knew my face, maybe they didn't. So they're more likely to, accept my connection. And then hopefully I would follow up with, hey, I've seen you around at the chamber event. I would love to meet you sometime, take you to coffee and tell you about what I do. So if I knew I could have some type of personal connection, even if I didn't personally know them, I would try to approach it that way.
So I would say the most people that you would approach weren't somebody that, like, you saw them on LinkedIn and say, I like their title, let me be their friend. It was somebody like, I'm familiar with you.
Yep, I tried to like be strategic about who do I know but not really know.
Like, no.
Yeah.
Who's like,
who can I get to know?
Yes. Who can I creep on? Exactly. And Terry,
just LinkedIn creeping.
And Terry, this is, I think, answering your questions. He was asking, I have 3,000 LinkedIn contacts. I get some people who immediately try to sell me something. Same. That's what I'm talking about. People slide into my DMs. And how do I present myself without looking like I'm selling? And again, I think you said it, making it as personal as possible, showing that there's no possible way that this could be like a blast out to like, I'm sending this to all my contacts saying, I've seen you in this area, or I'm familiar with this. Something that that gets me a lot is people saying, hey, I've seen your content on Facebook. I've seen your content on YouTube. Those are the ones that I'm much more likely to click on and look at, because like it's saying like, okay, so you recognize me. Even if I don't recognize you, you recognize me enough and felt compelled to talk to me, which is kind of like a compliment to me. And I'm more likely to give more attention to somebody who's telling me how great I am.
Yep.
So
I think, how do I present myself without acting like I'm trying to sell them? And I'm genuinely, like, I obviously try to be genuine, but I don't just say, hey, I'd like to have a phone conversation or Zoom meeting, coffee, whatever it is. I want to tell you about what I do. Ask, hey, I'd love to learn about your financial business. I'd love to learn about your insurance agency. Like, it's a mutual, everybody wears that what's in it for me hat.
Yeah.
So you can't just sell yourself. You have to ask.
So instead of saying,
want to learn about what they do also.
So instead of just being like, I want you to know what I do so I can help your client, saying like, I'm really curious, I'm really interested to learn more about you. And having that, again, kind of puffing them up. Ego goes a long way, and telling them how great they are. Again, I know I'm not the only one that loves to be told how fantastic I am. Surely not.
And you could really benefit from their services also, like that geriatric counselor. And I know I'm butchering his title, but
I'm here for it.
He has educated me on some things that I've been able to send a client to him that now I know that those are out there.
And that's back and forth.
Yeah.
For sure. And then the last thing I wanted to cover today is what exactly should you expect? I always preach, again, I feel like I am, a great expert on utilizing social media and Facebook. And we always say, like, do not expect leads from your Facebook. It is a relationship building tool. You will get leads from referrals and people recommending you. That will happen, but that's not your expectation.
Right.
So what should your expectations be when utilizing LinkedIn?
I would say have low expectations, to be honest.
Expect nothing.
Just because, like, that, I'm sorry, I forgot who it was, like Terry said,
Yeah.
people's messages are just that you're flooded with sales. And so sometimes if you reach out to someone, they might not see it.
That's me.
They really might not see it. So if it's somebody that you are really eager to meet with, stay on them, maybe message them a second time. I think I've built probably 10 strong relationships on LinkedIn in a year.
In a year? Well, that's pretty, honestly, like, that's pretty good for a social media platform in 1 year. And those relationships, I'm sure, have really paid in dividends for you.
One of them has been one of my best financial advising relationships, actually.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that was one you cultivated that through LinkedIn.
It was one that we had maybe seen each other around. I kind of knew I knew of her name, but I reached out to her on LinkedIn, and then I just asked her if I could take her to lunch, and it's become a great relationship.
That's awesome. Okay, so you've had 10 really great ones, one that you're just like all-star in the last year that you've been working with. Do you have any, again, just kind of a little peek into your world, do you have any like that right now, people that you're trying to pursue, or do you feel like, how many strategic partners do you say that you have right now? And are you looking for more? Have you hit a threshold?
From LinkedIn?
No, just in general. Just in general. I want to, because the reason why I'm asking is there a point when somebody should be like, you know what? I don't need LinkedIn. It's the juice isn't going to be worth the squeeze for me. Is it worth it for you? Even still having the relationships that you have.
Absolutely. There is actually somebody that reached out to me, found me one of my videos from, was it Arkansas? I think it was. And so I'm currently, we're trying to find a time to Zoom.
Wow.
He was a he did trust administration. And I think his words exactly, I actually wrote it down. What did he say? He messaged me and said, I don't have time to do Medicare. I'm happy to refer to you.
And that was his message to you?
That was his message to me. And so we've been trying to connect for when we can talk more about, because, I'm interested in what he does. Also, I try to have that feedback, because what if I do have more Arkansas clients that I could maybe refer back to him. But absolutely, I don't think there's a cap on how many partners I could have. I know I work with roughly 30 financial advisors, but there's also more. I also work with other insurance agents that don't do Medicare. I work with a geriatric care manager really well. What are some of my other banks? There's, everybody. I was in BNI, and one of my strongest referral partners was a 21-year-old handyman.
Really?
He was Mr. Fix-It.
Because he was going all these people's homes, all these little ladies' homes.
Yes. Yep.
Wow. And again, that's just you have to think about who touches your clients.
Yep, exactly.
Who is in your client's life. Go be friends with that person.
Yep.
So I have an age-old debate that me and the previous co-host of Medicare Cafe, Micah Torna, had, because we disagreed on this. Okay. And I think you're going to be on my side, so I feel safe asking you. So there was an idea of how do you get leads? How do you get referrals? And his approach was always, I'm going to have a financial here. And all of my people that need financial planning, I refer to this one person. And so that they know that I can get all their Medicare business. Do you feel in my opinion, it was very much, well, I want to work with all the financial planners. I want to work with everybody. So I don't promise them all of my referrals. No. So it sounds like, okay, A, you agree with me, I win. Also, B, what do they get in return? Because if you're working with 35 of them, they're not getting a referral a week from you. So what do they feel they get in return for being willing to not only refer clients to you, but to actually set the appointment for you?
They are getting depth on their bench of the services they offer. they are making themselves
I just want to show that I was right.
look better, you know, by saying that, you know, most of them, I look like I'm a part of their team. Sometimes I think their clients might think I actually work for them.
So they would like call their office to talk to you.
Because, you know, some of them, like I mentioned, we meet in their office. And so I do look like I'm a part of their team. Some of them present as, you know, she's our Medicare girl. And so that's what they're gaining. Now, also, I love when I have the chance to refer back to them. Sometimes, you know, I'll meet with somebody and I'm like, you know what, they would really mesh with this person.
So that's my personality.
So I'll, you know, and if I'm recommending an advisor to one of my clients, I will typically give them options. I'm like, you know what, if you think you'd mesh better with this person, I tell them a little bit about, I try to give them 3 choices. So that way I'm not trying to be more biased. Also in my referrals,
Yeah. What a great, I like that again, because I don't want to work with one financial planner. I want to work with all the financial planners. So you can't promise you'll get my referrals. If I get yours, you can't promise that, because then you're not being truthful and you're really limiting yourself to your network circle. So to answer some questions on here, Brian says that he's going to replace his photo with Micah Torna's. That tends to get him the meetings. Brian, you gotta be working with people with higher standards. Teresa asked about Micah Torna. Yes, Micah Torna's last episode on Medicare Cafe was November 30th. He is now a regional sales rep for Medico. So if you're writing Medico products, you'll get a chance to work with Mike some more. Tom was asking, I think you said you started looking for people on LinkedIn that did Medicare. How did you do that?
I think you can search for like a hashtag, and I think I searched hashtag Medicare, and there's all kinds of things that'll pop up, or hashtag Medicare supplement. I mean, I think the hashtag is the quickest way to bring up related videos, and then you can find the people that are
find the topic, and then find people who are consistently talking about that topic, and then follow them.
Or hashtag seniors.
Ooh, seniors, good one.
I think those were the first 2, hashtag Medicare and hashtag seniors.
Finding anybody who works with your clients. I had an agent who was doing seminars and was trying to find people to partner up to do seminars with to split the cost. Ended up going and working with a personal trainer. And the personal trainer specialized in more older clients and was actually working to get their physical therapy license or whatever to work with direct to clients. So they did it at their local gym that was supported by Silver Sneakers. And so the gym was happy because they were getting more people in. The personal trainer was happy because he was getting more clients. And then a lot of people came for both the exercising tips and the tips of the gym, but also they was there to talk about wellness programs with Medicare.
That's awesome.
So there's really no limit on who you can work with. Figure out who works with seniors and then go be friends with that person.
Exactly. Yep.
So that is what we have today for the Medicare Cafe, talking about, hopefully you guys got some really good tips to learn about how to use LinkedIn to build your networking circle. Again, making sure, keep your expectations low. That sounds so sad. That's so sad. But again, making sure that, I think maybe instead of wording it like that, I'll put my little sales hat on and just saying, keep your, have the right expectations. For what you should be getting out of your LinkedIn profile.
Much more polished.
Oh my gosh, that's what I do for a living. I don't know if you know this. I talk for a living.
You're good at it.
Believe it or not. So again, that's what we're talking about today, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We're gonna hang out a little bit longer. If you do have any questions, comments, concerns, sets, or promises for myself, for my good friend Carrie here, who again I can't talk about enough, who has just dominated the industry, become a huge threat to her competition, but also is generous enough to share your wisdom with us. I think that's confidence. Being like, I'm so great at what I do. Let me tell you.
I still have lots to learn. I've learned a lot from you already.
Well, thank you. I have. So answering some questions here, Linda says, as always, excellent cafe sessions. Did get a lot of today's messages. Thank you, Linda. Good morning, Mary. Mary says, we make a great team. Perfect. She said, did I miss you saying, Carrie, that when you recommend a financial planner, you give 1 or 2 names or even more? So kind of, again, because you don't work with one.
Do, yeah. I think it's good to have options. You know, maybe somebody wants a female over a male. I'll give them a couple female options, or I'll tell them, call around, ask what their fees are. You know, these are based on just you that I've gotten to know you. These are 1 or 2 or 3 advisors that I think you might mesh well with.
Have you ever thought about, this is something we tell our agents to do a lot, and it doesn't seem like you need to do this, but maybe you have, so let's have a conversation about it. We'll tell agents, especially agents who are starting out, who are trying to start building these partnerships, is to ask the client, hey, who do you use for your estate planning? Who do you use for your financial
to ask the
planning?
advisor?
No, to ask the client. Who are you currently using?
Okay.
And you'll either get the client and say, oh, I don't have anybody. Do you have any recommendations? Or you'll say, oh, I use this person. I really like them. And so then you call that advisor and say, hey, you are actually working with one of my clients, Mary. Mary and I actually handle all of Mary's Medicare stuff. I was wondering if you and I can get a cup of coffee or something sometime to kind of talk about how you help clients, because it seems like we work with a lot of the same people. So kind of starting the introduction that way. Do you think that works? Do you think that's stupid?
I don't think it's stupid by any means. No, I've never thought about that. I typically do ask, when we're talking about, I'll ask about when we're talking about Part B, if they're subject to IRMA, when we're kind of talking about income, I'll ask I'll ask if they're working with a financial advisor, or if anybody asks me about Social Security strategies, when should they draw? That's when I'll typically ask, are you working with a financial advisor? A lot of them will say yes, and I'll follow up with, are you happy with them? Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't, and that can kind of be a way that I'll lead into, well, I do have a recommendation if you ever want one. But
do you feel like that builds loyalty for you? Because it's not saying like, here, I'll sell that for you. It's not you asking for another product. It's you saying, oh, well, I know people that offer that service. Do you think that's a beneficial thing that helps, or do you think it really matters?
Sometimes I don't think it matters, but I can remember a couple times when that has meant a lot to somebody, that I was trying to, service beyond just their Medicare.
Holistically.
So depends on the person.
Robert says, my first time here, and I'll be coming back regularly. Thank you for your insight. Robert, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. Mistook Start, Jeanette says, mistook the start time. So yes, we're here every Tuesday at 10 a.m. We start about 5 to 10 minutes earlier, depending on when we can get our stuff together, to kind of log on and answer questions and continue some conversation. But make sure we do record every episode. So make sure you go to Senior Marketing Specialist Facebook. And also, that's wrong, go to Senior Marketing Specialist YouTube page. You can see all of our recorded episodes there. You can also go to Medicare Cafe's Facebook. We also post those recordings there as well. You're welcome, Shelby. Glad to have you join us again. Hopefully you become a frequent flyer with us.
Yes,
A frequent flyer. One of these days, I want somebody to comment like long-time user, first-time commenter. That's just like a goal of mine. Anyways, if somebody could do that, you'd make my day. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us again. Always reach out to Senior Marketing Specialists here to help you to continue these conversations, or again, join us and watch our What's Brewing on Facebook, also YouTube. Just join us in all the things. Make sure you let us know what you think. Appreciate you all and your support with us. We love doing this stuff, so the more you guys watch, the longer we get to do it. So any final thoughts, any final little nuggets of wisdom you have to share with us?
Thanks for having me on. I can't think of any final pieces right now.
It's not even optional at this point. Appreciate all the insight that you bring to us. Yeah. Awesome. All right, guys, you have a great rest of your day. Until next time, have fun, make money, and give impeccable service. Thanks, guys.